in June of last year, I brought Dr. Michael Frost to town for a Qigong seminar. Janet Jones came. As we were leaving, she was just talking to Michael and a group of us, and she said, you know, someone needs to do a big festival, bringing folks like you and Dr. Blair and a bunch of other people here to talk about issues on this level, to talk about some deeper issues of metaphysics and health and economics. And I was listening and said, you're right, Janet. I've been wanting to do that too. Let's do it. She said, okay. And so that was back in June. And we've been planning this ever since then. A lot of things have happened. Janet broke her leg in like August, kept on working. My father passed in January, we kept on working. And now we're finally here, and I'm so damn glad. It's been a very nice trip, I will say that. And I must, before I introduce our keynote speaker tonight, I must tell you, when we started planning this event, there were 6 of us. And one of us, brother Kofi Fine, passed away. And his widow is here. And I want to let you know that we really did miss him during the rest of the planning. But I feel that he has been with us in order for us to pull this off, you know. Because a lot of things came up, you know, but somehow we made it through. And so we dedicate this entire weekend festival to Brother Kofi Fine. Now I'd like to introduce the keynote speaker tonight. He is a man who, I got him to a friend of mine was selling some bootleg tape. And I heard one videotape, and I found out where he got it from. And I went to that company. I ordered like 6 of them. You know, so about 2 months, I like just tripping, you know. Metaphysical analysis of the coming catastrophe, the man lecture, the woman lecture, the children. I said, oh, boy, this man is something else, you know. And he's the first person who I brought to town when I started giving my lectures. So he has 30+ years experience in lecturing. He speaks on many different subjects, and like from UFOs to what the New World Order is doing to our environment. So many things, I can't even run them all down. As you all know him, and you know you're in for a treat. His name is Dr. Delbert Blair.
Thank you, my brother. Now, let's put the mic over here so we can both talk at the same time. Explain to them about the mic now, because they want to be saying, you know, they can't hear me. So if I'm going to speak for an hour, I got to be able to change my voice.
Okay, now this is not a mic for a PA system. My PA system went out. This mic is for the recording. We have a contract with the company to do some high-speed audio recording. So that's what this mic is for, you know. As a matter of fact, you'll be able to pick up audio tapes of this lecture within 10 minutes after the lecture. There's a table right to your left out in the hall. So, and listen to Dr. Blair.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your attendance tonight. I know I'm not the only reason you're here, but it is a Friday night, not the best of weather, so I appreciate that and I thank you. I want to thank a number of people. It's been a very interesting day. I want to, first of all, thank Brother Akeem for sticking with me, for being farsighted enough to continue to bring to you information that is not just available everywhere, and doing it consistently, and hopefully, I feel, with rapport, with understanding, and with a lot of intelligence. We stick to it as you mentioned. Father passes, things like this. These could be very upsetting, but he stays true to his cause. I want to thank Alicia, and I want to thank Janet Jones again for coming to the airport to pick me up. I Elaine Muhammad is not here now, but it got to be very interesting today. I find me kind of hesitating a bit. I haven't slept in 2 days' time. It's beginning to tell me. Plus, I had that little jet lag. I spoke out on the coast, and then I was in, held some things at our own center, and then came here. And I sat on the runway, which I do not like, about almost an hour at Midway Airport. That didn't do me any good either. So please bear with me. As I get into a roll and feed on your energy, hopefully things will improve here. Addition to which, every time I look up into the sky now, I used to look up and find beauty in that sky. I thank the Creator for bringing beautiful blue skies, azure skies, white cumulus, Sirius clouds, puppy. I thank the Creator for wonderful water, and brooks and streams, trees and everything else. And I still thank the Creator, but I just ask the Creator now, how long is he or she going to let happen what's happening? But now when I look up, I get pissed. Yes, I do. I'm not going to lie about it. I get pissed. You know, I don't curse. So you're not going to hear too much. But my most vehement word is probably damn, and I'll say that once a year. Okay? But it doesn't mean that I'm not understanding what's happening. Doesn't mean that I don't like a lot of what's happening. And be glad that I am not the Creator. In fact, be glad that I'm not God. Because you guys would be sitting in a different place tonight. But hopefully it would be a more heavenly place if we would. Why do I say this kind of thing? If we look at almost every people who have holy books, from the Papal, Kish, the Quran, the Bible, the Mishnah Torah, just many things, you'll find fulfillment of prophecy like never before in recorded history. You're living in a time now when anything and everything can happen. Hopefully won't happen, but it surely happened. If you look at some of the prophecies, and I've kind of condensed just a few in my own mind, that flowers will bloom out of season, animals will not bear their young. They have lost over 230 species since 1920. 230 whole species. In the 90s, 84 different aquatic species disappeared from the ocean. On land, 200 different kind of species have either mutated or are propagated, just gone away. They are now putting through the genetic ambivalence of some of the researchers insect venom into tomatoes, into potatoes. They're putting all kind of genes, what they call, I call it genealogical. I have a lot of tapes up there. I appreciate it. Look at them. It's wonderful if you buy them. I have a tape up there called genealogical, where I spell out exactly what they're doing. That tape is now 3.5 years old. To genetics. When you go and eat now, you had better be very, very, very intelligent, or very, very, very careful, or very, very, very God bless. Believe me, because you don't know what you're eating. And they're so nasty, this nebulous day, which we will pin down about 15 or 20 minutes, that they no longer even label. At one time, they felt that they had people here so brainwashed, so mind control, that they could get away with it anyway, so they tested to see just how much they could get away with it. That was actually part of the plan. You read their report from Iron Mountain, and, well, anyway. Then they did their spin job so well, controlling the press, the media, mind control, brainwashing, hypnosis, the whole bit. Till now, they said, well, we can maybe get away with it, but we'll see. But now they're so clandestine, they don't even tell you. I know you've heard about the Terminator Seed, in which now you no longer can grow crops legally. It is now illegal to grow one crop one year and the same crop the next year by your own natural replication. In other words, the Creator gave seed, seed germinates, gives you back a new crop the next day, or the next year. That's now illegal in the United States. Ever heard of such? The farmers and rural people who, for a long time, they paid farmers not to farm, couldn't understand what that was, what it was leading to. It's a very dangerous situation. But they paid them not to farm. They dumped grain into the oceans back in 1987, 1986, 1985, going backwards. But now they have the Terminator Seed, with which it is now all people that grow are supposed to buy seeds from seed houses, wholesale houses, and the wholesale houses are not allowed to sell you now seeds that will germinate and give you another growth for the next year. The Terminator Seed terminates after one season, and that's it. If you've looked at the tomato recently, look at it very closely, especially even hothouse and on the vine. Everybody loves tomatoes if you're really into it because it goes with the green salad, the green lettuce. Don't talk about the green lettuce. If you take it off now and you leave it out for even an hour, it wilts. Leaf lettuce now spoils. You know, many people have taken classes from me here. I recognize some of the faces, and I appreciate you being here. We sell KO7, but I was selling liquid oxygen through our company and through our center. God, what? Back in 1978, 77. Now it's new. In fact, I had a big person come up and say, Dr. Blair, you know a lot about things. You know about this liquid oxygen stuff? What do you think about it? I just laughed because I discontinued using one company because I found out the chemist, the research scientist there, had quit. The guy that was good, and I'm not even sure what was in the other one any longer. And they had so much sodium into it that caused you to have high blood pressure, so we switched over now to potassium-based KO7. Every time we do something here, it's not by accident, we do research. And the more we find out, seemingly the less we know, because everything we used to know is being changed so much. And fools and controlled people are out there proffering and pushing what they don't even understand. When I say they, you know, the chemist did do that, you remember the guy that they killed? So anyway, what I'm saying to you, we soak it, almost everything that we take in on vegetable, or even meat line if we choose to eat it, we soak it in this solution, and you wouldn't believe what comes out. I start to have to take pictures sometimes of just the things after we soak them. We soak leaf lettuce, we soak romaine lettuce, we soak spinach, and unless it says organic, and unless you can get it to some kind of a soaking solution, in the first or second day, the thing wilts, and the green coloring starts coming off, and mold comes underneath the xylem, underneath the little phloem leaves underneath it there again. And that's what we call these healthy people. Here, these are people who spend 45 minutes to an hour in the produce section of a store, and this is what you must do. I'm not kidding you. If you don't spend 45 minutes to an hour, or know some good wholesaler, or organic farmer that you can get direct, you don't know what you're buying. They sell the Galen apples, and there's a pithy core. You can see again that they've already been hydrated, put in a warehouse, and they've rotten from the inside out. But they've got such a coating of wax around them, till the air can't get through. You don't know till you cut them. You think you got a good apple. It looks good on the outside, was good when it was made. They're so wonderful. They can improve on things. Carrots, organic carrots. Again, I go to the health food store. I won't even hardly buy it. I'm not downing some health food store proprietors. I see three. But I'm just saying in general, when they have what they call juice bars there, they don't scrape the carrots because they've been told that all the minerals and things are on the outside of the carrot. And that's not true. The carrot used to be able to reproduce itself from the endosperm that was inside there. But if you don't scrape it away now, all the fumigation, pesticide, and all the rest of the things which the state inspectors have to put on there by orders that they come in by rail car are already on there. And unless you soak them, some people use vinegar, that's not enough anymore. Because they've got a mitogen species now that can live in vinegar. They've mutated the vinegar worms and stuff that needs to happen. Let me move on, as I'm trying to get, and I call this presentation, by the way, understanding. If we can get a better understanding of even the worst of the veils that seems to be upon us, I think there is an understanding that's going to even get through that. The worst that the beast can do sometimes turns upon us. But as we look again, I look in the sky, I say, and I see now everywhere I go, and I travel a lot in the United States, gray, ashy, cloud sky. I go to New York, gray, LC, clouded sky. I go to Detroit, Michigan, gray, ashy, clouded sky. I live in Chicago, gray, ashy, clouded sky. I was down in Fort Worth before the tornadoes, which I told them they were experimenting over there. Gray, ashy, clouded sky. I was in LA, I was in Portland, Oregon, I was in gray. And everybody says, wow, isn't it something? I wonder what's happening. The weather is really freaky, it's really something. Sure is, because it's under control. It's weather modification. And one of the ways that they control it is to spray you. This is what they're doing every day in 240 cities here in the United States. They spray you every day. Every single day. If they miss, it's only because there's a big storm coming, and it doesn't pay them to spray for that day because the wind will blow it away. But make sure they'll double the sorties the day after the wind clears. When we look around at the various things that are happening, we find many movies are coming up now. Interesting title movies. Movies that people are flocking to because they have some very interesting messages. So, how many saw The Green Mile yet? 6, 7. How many saw Matrix? How many saw Mission to Mars? Well, Matrix almost gave you a solution to one problem, but presented a whole panorama of another. Because if something like that is possible, you can actually have dimensions that are imposed upon each other, and that we're actually living in a mind-controlled area. That would be very frightening. The movie that Arnold Schwarzenegger was in there said the same thing 2 years before. Why do they keep bringing this theme back? You saw the movie Mission to Mars, you understand it's a movie that seems great in its special effects, and then it just seemingly loses some continence until the very end when the guy blasts off to where the Martians went. I won't spoil it for you if you haven't seen it. But it seems to have everything, but it lacks something. You know what it lacks?
Truth.
Complete truth. It lacked what happened to the black man who was the central figure of that movie.
Right.
Because in the United States, they figured you couldn't have it. They didn't want you to know. You know that overall theme, the astronauts go up there, everybody dies except one black guy, and a year later, or whatever it is, the second Mars mission comes there, and after a lot of detriment and pitfalls, they find him there. He says he didn't know why he was spared. He's living in a biological area that the old Rockwell. The whole point was, it features, again, what they now call the face on Sidonia, or the Martian features, whatever is up there. Is it a face? Isn't it a face? So the movie with De Palma, again, was supposed to almost bring out what they are always trying to hide anytime blackness is involved, time so-called Negroid people are involved, was that the face up there not only seems to be a face, seems to have been actually artificially made. Wonderful, what can I say, archaeology,
architecture,
wonderful building trades to get it done that way. They're going to think 55 miles wide plateau, but it seems to be the face of a black woman up there. Remember, you heard me say that. You always hear me say these things when you come out. I'm usually about 5 to 10 years ahead. Tell me again, it's the face of a black woman up there. It was terrible enough that it was a Negroid-looking face. And then it had to be a female. I mean, that's too much. That can never come up. This is Art Bell show off and on. I predicted Art Bell would leave the air twice. Exactly as I stated. Not exactly what he said, but he is leaving twice. He hasn't gone yet. There are lots of reasons for that, too, other than what he said. But it's very interesting. Right here in Detroit, some of you may have gone to. This was about 10 years ago. We had a deal we gave, what is that, the Dempsey, I'm getting mixed up with New York, the Dempsey Center. There's a center here in Detroit, down by the lakefront downtown, where they have the big trams. Cobo Hall. How many were at that area there where the black assistant to Professor Hogan gave a speech? It was a big turnout there again. Does anybody here, anybody know what I'm talking about? Some of you were there.
Yeah.
Do you remember when he had that overlay There's a lot of newspaper reporters around. Go back with me in time now. He had an overlay that he was showing about the Mars, face on Mars. And so again, how many were there when he did that? So people think I'm lying. I'm not lying about it. One person. Everybody else saw that. Well, when he put that face over the picture of Sedona, it was a picture of a Negroid-looking woman, and the face came alive. It was perfect. It was a missing link for that whole thing. But he showed it, took it off, and that was the end of that. Now I hear Professor Hoagland at night, they've got terrible things, and NASA is really conspiratorial, and there's two sides to NASA. He's a conspiratorial himself because he can't afford to come out and tell the truth. With all his crusading, they never tell the truth when it comes to melanin, and they never tell the truth when it comes to Negroid people, and it never comes to the truth and all this kind of thing there. But it's also telling you that the time is very imminent for a whole lot of revelations, a whole lot of hidden clandestine things to be brought forth. When they went to the Giza Plateau back in the 1700s, later on again, Napoleon went up there and you know what they did to the Sphinx.
Shut the nose off.
19 grenadiers, boom, boom, climbed on it with ladders and chopped at the nose of the Sphinx. And then they say, we can't figure what happened to the Sphinx. It must have been erosion. Yes, there was a lot of erosion, a lot of radical erosion, a lot of erroneous erosion. Yeah, it eroded all right with pickaxes and everything else. Why? Because it looked Negroid. They never said that it resembled more of a Negroid woman than it did a Negroid male. People said, why you still use the word Negroid? Well, because that's just what our anthropologists say. Negroid, Caucasoid, I don't use the word Negro because I don't know what that is. But Negroid, yes, I'll go with that. This black-looking Olmecan face stared him in the face. You go down in South America, what do they do there? They find the Mayans, and Chiapenecs, and Aztecs, and everybody but the Olmecs. Oldest race on the face of northwestern or north southern or anything else. Never Olmec, always some other kind of foolishness. Well, the same thing they found that. They found the same thing on the moon up there in the crater Tycho. They found a duplicate, the crater Aristarchus. Did they report that? No. Why? Too much to bear. And now too much to bear is what's happening on our own planet. So they got to change everything, hide everything, twist everything, spin everything for one particular reason. Because there's a battle now for who's going to live on this planet and who's going to die on this planet and how soon. This air that we see every day now is not natural. It is not contrails by which the jet that I flew in today left. And interesting enough, because when you left Chicago, you say it was very terrible weather. Hope you don't get what we're getting here now. But the guy, who was a jet, and even he was supposed to fly in about 28,000 feet. He went up and he announced he went up to 34,000 feet. That's pretty high for a commercial jet. And even then, you can't see out the windows. You look out the windows, and it looks like you're flying through clouds. Thank you. It looks like you're flying through clouds when you look out the window. I just pulled the shade down because the clouds were white, but it's just like you're just flying through miles and miles of smoke. That's not natural. That's got nothing to do with what the Creator brought. That is what man, rather, let's put it another way, this is what human is doing and has done. They have, in some of this, chemtrails. Let's get another thing clear too, because so we can, when we go to our question and answer, you don't even have to answer this one. I'll do this in detail for you now. A contrail is a jet fuel exhaust, some kind of fossil fuel emission, that trails at the most 15 to 20 feet behind the plane. And when it's 20 feet behind, it's because either the air there is very dry or they use bad fuel. When they get up to a certain height, ice particles form on the fuselage of the plane, and the moisture condenses and then freezes, and it leaves a little trail, which then ionizes, melts, and that's it. That's what you've got. That usually doesn't even come about until you're above 60,000 feet. Sometimes it can go if there's a lot of moisture in the the air and it's very cold. It freezes. That is what is called a contrail. When you see something 40 and 50 miles long, trailing from a high-flying jet plane at 80,000 feet and above, usually, that has nothing to do with a contrail. That is a chemtrail, a chemical trail of particulate matter being loosed either from a canister or purposely from the fuselage or jet exhaust of that particular ship. And that's all we're getting now, are chemtrails. A couple of sites on the internet, one came out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, another was out of Oregon. There's a guy out in Texas, they made him drop his website, so I guess he must have got too close to the truth. But William Thomas, who wanted to do some heavy research on chemtrails, has an excellent website. I don't remember what it is now, but it's William Thomas. And if you go to Art Bell, who's the one that carries most of these metaphysical things at night, look under there, look up William Thomas, and you'll find some excellent up-to-date things on chemtrails. Chemtrails chemically spewed out things over 240 cities in the United States have been found to contain cryptosporidium, pneumococcus vimentis, pneumococcus meningitis, manure, non-human T cells, sulfites, sulfates, silver, and who knows whatever else at the time. None of those things is very good for you to breathe. None of those things is very good for you to eat. None of those things is very good for you to swim or look through, or anything else in it. Why do I say that? Because these trails fall on your lawns, fall on your farms, fall on your waters, rivers, fall on your children in school, fall on your car, fall on your rooftops, fall on everything that sprays down. And now one of the other prophecies is being fulfilled before your very eyes, and many of you are still not looking up. There will be X's and O's as symbols in the sky, and that's what you have. Because one plane goes one way, another plane goes another way, and if there's anything in between, you get S's and O's. They'll circle and make sure they fill in the gap. They've gotten better now. They must have a very micronized spray technique, because now that O form isn't there too much. But the X's, yes. And they'll come from the northwest, they'll come from the southwest. They obviously have different areas that they take off from, and they don't hit any other planes, which means that the FAA realizes that they're there and they're allowed to do what they're doing. But they don't tell you the breakdown of that. Now, I've heard some other postulations, we can save this as a discussion too, that it's because the ozone hole is over the United States and they want to fill in the gaps so that you will not be UL approved. Okay, you be approved. Okay, that didn't go over too well, did it? Underwrite laboratory approved simply means, again, ultraviolet light. And therefore, because of the ozone hole, they got to fill this in, because other than this, you get radiated. You have a stamp of approval from the United States government, whoever that is. I have no idea who they are. There's nobody who knows that door, you have to believe it. But not only do they vector planes around from major airports while the spraying goes on, which means that they know it, but in some cities, every time they come over, there is an air raid siren that goes off. Now, of course, not big major cities, the suburbs, where some people who are rich or know what's happening will actually have this go off. One such in Illinois is Oakland. Every time it comes around, sprays. You know, here comes those, you know what's again. I have nice things for them. We got a gun, a BB gun, a cannon, but again, that's not the way it's supposed to be. But I look around and people just walk down the streets while they're spraying and they look up. I was outside, I have a large lawn. I was outside the other day and I got so teed off as I watched this. So this guy coming down the street, like he was in trouble, so on and so forth again. I said, hey, look, they're spraying us again. He didn't even look at me again. I said, hey, they're spraying us again. And he looks up. Oh, yeah, well, I see that all the time. I said, I know, but they're spraying me again. What do you think about that? Oh, I don't know. That's just exhaust. I said, no, that's not exhaust. Look how long that exhaust is. You think the plane's on fire? Maybe they got something wrong with it. They're jetting off fuel. Huh? Oh, I say, well, I don't know. The government, they know what they're doing. Probably something they're trying to spray us to protect us from something. Oh, the naivety. And the naivety. What is it? The stupidity. People are so brainwashed now with the government that they don't even understand what the government is. Maybe I should phrase it another way. Who
the government is. You always get choices after they select who you're going to elect. Either one you go, you're going to lose. They find that after these sprays, the hospitals get very full. It's affecting the elderly. It's affecting the very young. If you read the report from Iron Mountain, that's exactly what they want to get rid of. Oh, you say when you get elderly, you're supposed to reward a person for the endeavors and the raising and the mother and the father of somebody, or the person is giving back to society. No, they hate them. Call them, quote unquote, useless eaters. Useless eaters. What from Iron Mountain said, paraphrase, they could afford to, I'll put in the words, get rid of 5 million people here in the United States. 2.5 billion off the planet. They discussed the usefulness of war and the unuselessness of peace. The peace was not prosperity. You cannot have peace. Sick. Sick. But what's worse is people were supposed to be not sick, believing in it. I said in presentations, back in 68 and 69, I kid you not, I'm going to take that beware of the polio vaccines. Beware of vaccines, period. That inoculation vaccinations are primitive. What nice word did I use? Not so good thing to take. And then, of course, the nurses came at me and the doctors came at me. I got on the tape. I was arguing back then. I said, well, I'm not impressed by you. My family has doctors and so on again like this. And I have studied myself. I'm telling you the truth. What's in the daggone vaccine? What happened again? A friend of mine, Gregory, came up with that report way back there in 1963. They stated that there was cancer virus inculcated in the polio vaccines, and there was. That's way back in 1963, people. 63, 73, 83, 93, almost 2003, and they haven't stopped yet. People say, well, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think people are going to get sick or are going to die? Well, we haven't died yet to the degree that they thought we would. But it sure has messed with a lot of people and caused a lot of heartache. If they were putting cancer viruses into the polio vaccine back in 1993, what the heck do you think they're doing now? You think they stopped? Why do you think they stopped? You stopped? You voted intelligently? You stopped taking the shots? They had what they call the swine flu epidemic. How many remember what year that was, or approximately? Give me 2 years with what time you think it was. Let me just see where you are in concept. Swine flu epidemic. When was that about?
69.
Yeah. Pardon? 88.
69.
Huh?
It was in 69.
69.
74.
74. Well, I guess you have to ask, which flu? And I always say, say swine flu, I mean, Courtney took wings. Swine flu, you know. And ask just about how much sense it made. I have documentation. I didn't bring it, but if you ever heard in a class or anything, I've been saying this for years, so I'll give it back to you again. There was never a swine flu epidemic. Never. Never was there a swine flu epidemic. How? Don't even tell me. But I wonder if you know somebody that took those shots, let their young ones get those shots, and then wonder what happened later on when their young ones start getting sick and start showing kind of really way out symptoms about things. There never was a swine flu epidemic. I think it was David Sensor, to show you how much it stays in my brain, who was the chairman of this, a medical doctor, who stated at this meeting that the swine flu was a, how did he put that thing? The swine flu was a, let's see if I get being tired now. What he meant paraphrase was something that just got out of hand. They didn't even know it was going to get that far. And he then said, strike that from the record. But I have the exact quotation of what he said. David Williams, he said, there never was a swine flu. At that time, the acting president, who just gotten over there, got all out of hand, got all scared up. Something happened at Fort Dix down there. One soldier came down and said it must have been that. But there never was one. But it just also goes to show that they wanted to see how many people would follow orders, how many people like flock and follow the Judas goat to oblivion. If they say do it, let's see how many people will do it. And they were not disappointed. Millions of people did it because they believed in the great white coats. And if they stood up and said, this must be, then since I am not as good as thee, I know you know better for me, and so I will get thee shot. Folks, you better wake up no matter what coat comes on. Look past the color of the coat. And in fact, look past the color of the skin. Most deceptiveness can come from within, easier from without. And they're just as bad doctors as there are good doctors, black doctors, good black and white doctors. They get off the race thing. Let's get back to the evilness in some people for the want of money and for the want of some vicious circumstance behind all of this that's causing this to happen. They got flu that comes from Africa, Australia, China, never Europe. But this flu flies. And when it does, you gotta flee. Oh, flu. When they get flu spray, it was Spiridium, pneumococcus pharyngitis, and stuff that forms a gelatinous mass in your breathing tubes and in your lungs and cause fluid buildup in the lymphatic system which tries to isolate it, and you can't breathe, and you drown in your own sputum because they sprayed you, and you go to the hospital, and they give you some more shots. Oh, that's anytime you can't breathe. You know, it's interesting to me, how much does it take before some people wake up? And if they're not awake, why don't they at least listen to the few radicals like myself and at least weigh when I give you statistics and things, which I always do, and try to see. If not, look at the track record. There's a book they would not even be allowed to publish in the United States. It's called A Higher Form of Killing. How many of you had the privilege of reading that book? A Higher Form of Killing. You can. Try to get hold of it. It goes on to show all the way back in 1820 how they have tried test on populations of the people, and usually in big cities, United States, even Europe, United Kingdom, over and over again. Servicemen become nothing but guinea pigs and fodder. They always experimented on them. People in jail become guinea pigs and fodder. That's why the jail population grows. It's also free labor too. And these people don't even know what's happening to them, but they're testing them. Remember duck and cover? None of you are that old, right? You're all too young for duck and cover. That's how you escape atomic blast radiation. Duck and cover. And people were ducking and covering. Amazing what people do. But we don't know better, do we? We believe in the wrong power. Cases. Been indoctrinated to believe in the wrong power. Let me say something else now. I'm not putting down all doctors. No. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even putting down all allopathic doctors of medicine. But the allopaths and the holistics have got to come together soon, or it'll be nobody left here. If you've got it broken, you need it set. You need it set right. You need it casted. If you're bleeding, you need suturing. You need that done correctly. But when it comes down to the drugs, no. Take that and go someplace else. Now tell me to the holistic practitioner when they weren't growing Terminator Seed type things. In that sky is also, I want to make this one very correct, is also what they call magnetic sulfates, oxides and sulfates that are sprayed there. They're very misty formation. By adding this substance to the air, and even silver and other metals to the air, they can begin to heat up the air anytime a microwave transmission goes through it. Now, what does that mean? Anytime a microwave transmission goes through it. They have a number of projects that are now presently working in the United States and also in Norway and Europe. They have what is called the HARP program, acronym High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project. High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project up in Dakota, Alaska. They have what they call ISCAT, European Incoherent Scattered Radar Technology in Norway and Europe. They have what they call RHIC, Relativistic Heavy Ion Collider, located and also understand now Massachusetts Institute of Technology. They have what they call scalar weapons and scalar technology. Scale attenuated laser emitted resonances. That's when you will soon see this blue and white lightning in the sky with no thunder. They have Montauk Project. They have Rock Island Project. They have all kinds of projects. Why? Very interesting question. Why? I'm pretty sure why. Because they believe that they're gods. They want to prove it to you. Because they think they are gods and they want to fight amongst themselves. Because they must always change whatever they find to make it better and more suitable. Because it's the nature of the beast. I don't know, but I got a pretty good idea. As we go through all of this, we find now that through these projects and programs, they can send microwaves to high aurora array antennas. Some of these antennas are 200, 300 feet into the air. They can blast microwave emissions, electromagnetic radiations into the air. You can follow me. You might have to be a physicist to understand the principle of what I'm saying. You might have to be a physicist to believe that it can be done. But I'm giving you the overall line. They blast this energy into the air. And this causes a column of electrified air to form, ions of it, and it hangs wherever they're broadcasting this heavy frequency. If they broadcast over 50 miles, you got a 50-mile potential barrier there of ionized particulate electrified air. Now, if they broadcast this thing high enough, the so-called jet stream, this river, this ocean of moving air, that is up there, a certain height, hits this barrier and bounces off, forming circles. If they intensify the frequency of this barrier, it bounces off and forms faster circles. If it's large enough, it could be a hurricane. If it's small enough, it sets off little eddies and you get tornadoes. If it's over water, you can get a seiche. Over shallow water, it's a tsunami. Doesn't matter the name, you have circular air that can now be caused. They call that program weather modification. And they have some 18 different HR and S bills bottom. HR and S means simply Senate and House registered bills. Why would the House and Senate pass bills to regulate or to acknowledge something that doesn't exist? And if you say because they want to and you're paying them and you say that they're your representatives and your senators, then you're crazy. All right, you're neurotic like I am. I can't help that. Yes, I am neurotic. I knew I was going to find it. I have deep neurosis. Because I see around me every day psychotic actions. And like a ant in a spider web, when you hear the 8 feet coming and you begin to hear hot breath and you don't get a little bit upset, then you're already psychotic too. So since I'm not, and I see psychotic actions that can mean me no good as a spiritual person, then I get a little bit upset, as you should have been a long time ago. And if you think you're not,